When you're thrown into a new environment as a student, perhaps on a placement year or if you're studying abroad, it can feel really overwhelming. As someone with an existing anxiety disorder, I felt really quite vulnerable heading off my year abroad in Germany and abandoning the support systems I generally relied on back home. There were points where my anxiety was particularly acute and I was having panic attacks because of the pressure of living alone in an unfamiliar city and operating in a second language. I found that staying in touch with my home friends and family played a real part in feeling comfortable abroad. I would message them, FaceTime, and even write letters to stay in touch. Having weekly or monthly check-ins over FaceTime reminded me that those support systems were still there if I needed them. I also tried to put less pressure on the friendships I made in Germany, allowing them to develop naturally. In doing this, I actually made far deeper connections than I'd anticipated, and now have a really lovely circle of friends who I can share memories of that time with. My anxiety did still get the better of me sometimes, but I found I could be open with the friends I'd made in Germany too, and so I was able to call them up in those times of intense panic or worry. My last big worry was about returning back to university after such a long time away. I was scared that my friends would have all graduated and that after a year of displacement, I would once again be faced with the task of building new friendships from scratch. This is something that, as a placement or year abroad student, you really can't control. In the end, many of my friends actually decided to defer their final years due to the pandemic or take masters, meaning I knew lots more people at uni when I got back than I'd expected. I also feel the experience of a year out creates a bond with the others on the same course as you, and it was really lovely to hear about everyone else's experiences when I got back. The graduation photos filling my Instagram feed did lead to some degree of feeling excluded, but I knew I was experiencing something very few people my age could claim. Moving to a new country alone, studying in a new language, and finding my own work, housing, and friendships in a way I never had before. In general, I found that trying to take the pressure off the time I had abroad really helped with managing my anxiety. Worrying about whether or not I was making the most of the short time I had was never going to be useful, and so I tried reminding myself that I would always have the opportunity to come back. Assuring myself that my friendships and family connections were still there through regular phone calls and video calls also meant I never felt alone. And forming new friendships with those also on years out ensured I wouldn't feel isolated when I came back home for my final year. A year abroad is such an amazing opportunity to make new friendships, visit new places, and take some well-needed time out from the normality of your degree. But I learned that I could only make the most of those experiences if I was also concentrating on looking after my own well-being and making sure I had the strategies in place for if my anxiety became overwhelming.